Now it's necessary to not only be profitable, but successful, to have the ecosystem. And until you have that, you will probably experience where your marketing isn't super profitable. Sometimes it takes time to build that up. It's a snowball effect, and then sales start happening. Business is about the long game. When you combine the consistency with the strategy of all the levers that need to have attention, and you do that over and over again, you start to build success and make sales that is wildly profitable.
Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope you guys are having a great day. I am doing a batch recording day. I have kind of made Fridays my content day, so I'm obsessed with my new studio. I have still a lot of things to do in here. Furniture-wise, the podcast setup is okay. We're going to definitely add to it, but it's a process for me to get furniture, and I hate the process, honestly. I just want someone to do it all for me, but I'm excited for the vision, and I think in the next few weeks it'll all come together. And I've been spending Fridays as content days, where my content person comes to the studio and we do a bunch of social content, and then I try to record the podcast as well. So that's what I'm doing today. And my studio is in, first of all, the energy in here. It matters so much. The lighting and the energy of the space is amazing. I actually could work here every day, all day, and love it. But also it is in the coolest location, where there's an epic coffee shop right downstairs. There's Whole Foods, there's burger places. It's awesome. So I can't wait to host people here also. But I'm just super grateful. And then I'm making some hires of some in-person team members, and just really grateful for the ability to have that connection, bringing the dream to life. All right, so today's episode, I wanted to give you a little bit of an inside look at how I look at my own marketing, but then also talk about the importance of fresh re-engagement of your warm audience. And I was having this thought today about how important this is, especially in today's current climate, and why that's important. And how when I started my business and I was initially first doing ads, and you're getting $2 cost per lead, and people were going through a webinar funnel and just buying right away, how this wasn't as important. And I think this is a gap that a lot of people have, because they're kind of stuck in this mindset of, I can just launch a funnel and that will be successful on its own. So anyways, I want to give you insider on my own thinking, and kind of I'm working some strategies, and was talking to team this morning about it, and thought it'd be helpful to give you that insider kind of view into how I think and how I look at it. So first of all, one of the things that I always do in my marketing is, as a business as a whole, we have a monthly and a quarterly goal. And for us, it's based off of one critical number, which is the biggest number that drives the company. And for us, that is new clients, bringing on new clients. There's obviously other numbers that matters. There's retention, and there's client results, and we track all of these. How many clients are profitable after they pay us? And how long did it take us to launch them? We track all these numbers, but we have one core number. And we look at this number every day. And I know this number. And it is it's constantly top of mind. And first of all, I think there's a lot of value in that. You look at Elon Musk, right? When they're working on a big project, he's always talking about, I read his autobiography, and it was, or I don't know, memoir, whatever. It was so good. And constantly when he'd work on different things in Tesla and SpaceX, he'd have the one number, the one thing that he wanted the whole team to focus on. And it'd be big on the wall. And there's something to that, right? When you weigh yourself and you pay attention to what you eat, you automatically pay more attention. You eat better, you are more cognizant of it. When you look at your bank account every day, you're more aware of what you're spending, and you make better decisions around it. So there's backed science, right, that proves this. So we have one core number. That's first thing. You should have that for your company. We break that number down to what's our goal for the month. And so throughout the month, we can look at, are we pacing? Are we on track? Or do we need to take actions? And I think it's important for people to realize the actions have to come from multiple places. So for my current marketing strategy, we have a weekly webinar happening. And that webinar is, at this point, a lot of cold traffic. It's a lot of traffic of getting new people into this webinar funnel to book a call and to buy our offers. And so, of course, not everybody's going to convert because it's cold traffic. And so we have to have re-engagement. We have to have outreach. We have to have other things that invite them. So when I look at my marketing strategy, the things that move the needle, there's a lot. There is our regular webinar funnel. That's bringing in consistent leads, consistent applications and calls, and consistent sales. There's also our content in social media. That's doing some growth. Our social media, I'm putting quite a lot into it. So it is actually growing my account now. But also I see it more as nurture. It is where the people who are coming to follow me from the ads and who are in my world, now they're seeing me all the time. I really do see social media, like if you were to say put one word to it, I would say nurture. Connection, nurture and connection. Yeah, it can do some growth, but is that actually the primary mover of it? Not in most cases. So there's my social media. There's also the emails that we send out to our email list and bring them back to things like booking a call, the podcast, our live event happening in July, the different things that we push to our email list. And then there's live experiences, and there's new things that I do and that I host that I get to invite the whole email list, that I get to invite my whole following. And then there's this podcast, which is nurture. It is building relationships, it's connecting. So there's all these things that work together to ultimately attract, nurture, and convert, which is the goal of marketing. All of these things have to be working together. So when we're in a month where I look at it and I say, okay, we are just over halfway through the month and we're just under our sales goal, which we had a pretty big sales goal for this month. We actually went pretty big. So we're just under our sales goal. And so, okay, I'm telling you my thought process. This is how I look at it. I know that we have the weekly webinar. We've done about 10 of these now. So I have pretty solid data to say I know that with this spend, we're going to get this many leads and we're going to get this many calls and we're going to get this many sales for the rest of the month. Okay, so that leaves us here. We need X more amount of sales, or we want. That's to hit our goal. That's where we're at. Okay, so if that's the case, what are the levers I can pull to do that? And this was literally the conversation I had with my team this morning. Okay, so we want to fill this number of sales. What are the levers? Okay, well, first of all, we have the sales team. They have had, dozens of calls that haven't quite converted yet. And we do have a lot of cold traffic in our pipeline. So, okay, we could do an outreach campaign. Sales team, we're going to send individual videos to all of these hot leads. We have this special bonus. What can we do to get them in before the end of the month? Sales team goes and implements that. There's one lever I can pull, okay? Okay, we have our email list. We already have these promos planned. We have our live event. Where can we fit in a couple of promotions to book a call? Because we can push it to our email list. We haven't done that in a little while. Okay, we have our social media. What can I put on stories? And then we have the big lever, which is a live experience, which actually this point in the month, I'm not doing a live experience. It takes enough time to plan. But I said, okay, this date in May, I've got a new training topic idea. I'm going to develop the messaging for it. I'm going to develop the training, and we're going to do a new topic. We're going to invite our list, and we're going to do that in replacement of the weekly webinar that week. Something fresh, something new. So I want you to see how I think, okay? There's a number, there's a target. Here's where we're at in the month. Here's where we're pacing for this target, and we hit a big target, so we're slightly behind. Okay, what are the levers we can pull? It's not, oh, this isn't working. Like, oh, our webinar should be converting more. Another lever I could pull is increasing the ad spend to the weekly live webinar, which I will do that, right? But I also am aware of it's a lot of cold traffic. And so I'm like, how do I squeeze out more from the work that we've already done? And that's something that you have to think of a lot in your marketing, right? The work that we've already done is all the sales calls that have booked and not bought yet, is my email list that we've already built, is the social following that we've already built. So all of that actually doesn't cost very much to try to get more value out of to hit our goal. And then of course we can always bring in more leads. But the answer is not always more leads. It's keep that going while squeezing as much as you can out of this. And that's what I mean when I say 8 years ago, you could launch a webinar funnel. You could get $2 cost per lead. And because your cost per lead was so low, you could hit the average sales conversion of 1 to 3% of your leads and be wildly profitable. But today, because the cost per lead is higher, people take longer to buy. The buyer cycle is longer. You have to squeeze more out of your ecosystem. You have to have your ecosystem working. You have to be doing new live events. You have to be having an email promotional calendar. You have to be smart on social media, consistent on social media. All of this has to be working. And I think that's like the biggest thing I've seen shift in marketing is where you could have a very fragmented strategy. You could have one funnel and you just focus on that funnel and you launch that funnel, and everything else, it's like cool if you do it, but it's not necessary to be profitable. Now it's necessary to not only be profitable, but successful, to have the ecosystem. And the ecosystem is the content, the email marketing, the consistent lead generation funnel, which for me right now is our weekly live webinar, and then the live launches. And you have to have all of those things, and they all have to be working together. And until you have that, you will probably experience where your marketing isn't super profitable. Sometimes it takes time to build that up. You have to start building the list. You have to start nurturing the list. It's a snowball effect, and then sales start happening. And it's the long game. Business is about the long game. And people who are not bought into it for the long game are in for being frustrated and being disappointed and wanting to, turn the ads off or turn the marketing off, throw everything in the trash and start over. So I wanted to give you that insight into how I look at things. And so if you are, first of all, action items for you. Number one, do you have your number one goal? What is the critical number, the number one metric that matters the most when it comes to your business growth? Do you look at that every day? And then do you ask yourself, okay, here's where I'm at for the month to hit this goal. And what are the actions I need to take to make sure we hit it? Then you can have the conversations of, okay, based on this number, based on this goal, based on where we're at and the reality, what are the levers we can pull? And you likely have to pull multiple levers. And that's what I'm trying to get across is it's not going to all happen in one place and one funnel. It's all the levers that you can pull. And then ongoing, do you have the ecosystem set up where you have the consistent content? You have the email, promotional calendar, or even content calendar of what does it look like emailing our list this month? It's that simple. How are we sprinkling in content? How are we sprinkling in promotion? How are we constantly creating connection and nurture opportunities as well as invitations back to our offers, back to our free trainings, back to working with us? And then the same thing for social media. How can you be featuring results? How can you be reminding people of the opportunities to work with you? And the other thing is, you're going to feel like you're talking about something way too much when in reality, people barely remember. And so it should feel like you're talking about your offer and your webinar and how you help people and the results they're getting all the time. You're going to feel sick of yourself. If you do, you're doing it right. Because you have to remember the people following you, they do not read every email. They don't listen to every podcast. Most likely, some do. I love those people in my audience who listen to everything and read everything. But 90% of the people, they're going to miss some things. Or they're going to forget. They're going to read it and they're going to forget. And so it should feel like you're talking about it too much. That means you're talking about it enough. And one thing I see a lot with entrepreneurs is they have a funnel and a new lead comes in and the lead gets, hit with the call to actions and the nurtures and they go through the initial sequence. And then after that, it's kind of like no strategy. And they're really focused on new leads, which new consistent leads are important. But also getting the most out of the leads in the audience you have is really important too, because like I said, because of where we're at with marketing, lead cost is more expensive than it was 8 years ago. It's still totally reasonable. I know people are going to ask this, like on my webinar, which is a B2B, I think right now our cost per lead is at $6, which is really good. it can go up to 10 and I'm good. So that's kind of where our goal is. But it's not 2. It used to be $2, 8 years ago when I'd run B2B ads for people. So B2C, you're looking at, you can get way less, $1, $2, $3 cost per lead. So because cost per lead is up, because people take longer to buy today, we have to make sure our model, our marketing model and strategy and structure accommodates for that, which means you have to have the ecosystem and you have to say, am I doing everything I can to get the most out of the audience and the emails and the leads that I already have? And the last thing I want to say about this is creating cash injections in your business come from doing something new. And so we have a client who is one of our VIP clients, which, by the way, we have one opening for a VIP client. We have not had that in almost a year, which a VIP client is like, we're the fractional CMO. I do the strategy with my team. I'm involved. I get on the calls and we implement everything from the email calendar to the social media, like everything. We're the full marketing team. So we do have one spot open for that. You can email us or message I vet those people because I work with you like a partner. Anyways, this is one of our VIP clients. He's been a VIP client for almost 2 years now and super successful. We've scaled his business like crazy. When he came in, it was at the early 6 figures. It's a multiple 7-figure business now. And we'd cycled through a lot of the same trainings. So he had like 3 core webinars that we kind of cycle through, and we do the process of doing it, inviting his list, inviting his social audience, and inviting new people with ads. And the conversion was good, but it had kind of gone down, and it was like, okay, we need something fresh. So we came up with a fresh topic, and we actually went the angle of AI to his audience, and we came up with a fresh topic, fresh webinar, fresh angle, invited his list, ran the ads, and it was like 10x return on ad spend, and we're still closing sales from it. I mean, it popped off. Why? Because it was fresh. Because we do the work of consistency. We build the audience. He's constantly growing his audience. He's constantly growing his following. He's constantly growing his email list. And it just was a way to bring people into something fresh that they hadn't seen yet, high value, high desire for what he was going to teach, and brought people in, drove to the same offer. I think we did a fresh bonus and kind of a fresh angle on that, and it was like incredible results. And the thing is, we didn't have to spend a ton on the ads. We spent our usual amount, but the results were way more sales. Why? Because we got to capitalize on the leads that we already had. And so I sometimes come across entrepreneurs who are like, I don't want to keep having to do new things. But the truth is you have to. About every 3 months, you should have something that is fresh, that is new, that can reinvite your audience into, that is seasonal or relevant right now, and creates an experience. And if you're willing to do that, it will be successful because you're going to be able to massively capitalize on audience and leads you've already paid for, you've already worked to build, and bring them into a fresh experience that converts them. So that's kind of the last thing I wanted to say is I put probably the most amount of my energy into the creativity of that. What is an experience that I can create for people that is new, that is different, that is relevant to right now, what people want, that I can use to drive to our offer. And you never know, like I get people who have been on my list for a year and then they come to that experience and they've been to 3 or 4 others, and now is finally the time for them to buy. And that's why it's an ecosystem. That's why it's a snowball effect. When you combine the consistency with the strategy of all the levers that need to have attention, that need to be pulled, that need to be worked, and you do that over and over again, you start to build success and make sales that is wildly profitable. Like 10x return on his ad spend, that's like unheard of today. And I could promote that and easily mislead people into it was just this one funnel. But the thing is, it's not just this one funnel. It's everything we did before that funnel. It's everything we've done the last 2 years. It's the momentum that builds on top of each other that then allows for that wild success. And anyone you see who has that wild success, like you show, these big entrepreneurs who put these big numbers. I'm not even going to say names. You know who they are. The reason they have those big numbers is not because they've done one single strategy that crushed it. I promise you. It's everything they've done leading up to that. It's the years and the tens of thousands of dollars they've spent building a brand, building a warm audience, building trust, creating connection, and then combining that with something of high value. And so it's sometimes frustrating for me when I see this. It's not frustrating because I get why they're doing it, but it's that I see a lot of people misled, where they see somebody's big launch. They see someone's, I made $1 million this week, or I made $250,000 of cash this week. Okay, you making that didn't come from this siloed single strategy. It came from everything leading up to it, and that strategy crushed it as well. And so you as an entrepreneur have to understand the money and the success is in the long game. It's in the ecosystem. And I see that there are very few entrepreneurs willing to commit to that long game, because they get frustrated so fast when it doesn't work. And you have to commit to the long game today. Maybe 8 years ago you didn't. Maybe you could have one funnel, you could turn that on, you could let it go. You didn't have to commit to waiting, you didn't have to commit to having the ecosystem today. It is critical to success. So all that to say, if you want to explore VIP client, you want to explore working with us, you want to explore having this implemented for you. Like everything I just said today is how my team thinks. This is how we implement for clients. It's all these pieces working together. That is our whole thing. It's the ecosystem. It's not one funnel. It's not one offer. It's not one email sequence. It's all of it working together. So helpmystrategy.com takes you to booking a call. We can see what offers the right fit for you. We have one at every single level, whether you've never sold your offer before, all the way up to you're already a 7-8 figure brand. All right, everybody. Hopefully this was helpful. Give you some insight to how I look at my marketing, but also that's how I look at marketing in general. Like when I work with our VIP clients, this is exactly what I look at. When we look at their goals and we say, okay, we're behind this month on applications, we're behind this month on sales. It's not like, oh, it's not working. It's what are we going to do? What are the levers we can pull? What are the actions we can take? How do we get more value out of the work we're already doing? And then we do those things. And that is why I also have the saying that marketing always works. It's just a matter of when, because it's a matter of the process. It's a matter of the levers that you pull. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time.